Okay, so now that we have reviewed the monitor and control project work, let's go through each of these individually and talk about the inputs, outputs, and tools and techniques. First, you have the inputs, and we're going to start off with the project management plan. I'm going to draw this as my file folders as a project management plan because I like to think of it as lots of different plans inside of it, and they meet different needs and wants. And also you're going to have the various different project documents that you are going to be referencing and using, such as stakeholder lists or how things are going, or risk reports, all those kind of different scenarios and documentations that you have. Also, how the project is in fact going. So, charts and graphs and information that's telling you one way or the other, but more importantly, kind of like, your various different charts about how things are progressing or not progressing, etc. Also, you're going to have various different agreements. So maybe you have an agreement with a different supplier or contractor, or in most cases, it's going to be you and the customer or the client that you're working for. So there's various agreements that you're going to have to reference to know, well, are we working within the bounds that we thought or not, or is it different? Those kind of things are going to be at play. And as always, things in the conditions that are really outside of your control, that live in the environment or your project or portfolio or program, those are your enterprise environmental factors. And then you could have various different templates, and I'm going to try to draw binders here, or different kind of documents. Those different tools or assets are your organizational process assets that are going to allow you to perform your work a little bit better. So this is your work performance information. This is your project documents, and that first one, of course, is your project management plan. All of those are your inputs. So various different tools and techniques. And there's a lot of tools and techniques if you think about how you are trying to control the project, right? Well, sometimes you just kind of know, and or there are various people on your team that seem to know or have some insight on how things should be or not be. And so we just refer that expertise as generally your expert judgment. And that can fall in many different ways. It could be just history, maybe it's your education, maybe it's the research papers that you've read, or any kind of different ways that you've kind of collectively have this knowledge or experience. Also, you're going to have to take all this information and all the other things and make sense of it, right? So if things are going this way, well, what's the trend look like? Is it going up? Is it going down? Are you looking at maybe the alternatives? What if we went this way versus that way? What could be the outcome? So there's just really different ways to analyze the data. So we're just going to kind of group all these together as a data analysis. So whether it's you're going down to the root cause, or you're doing your earned value management and doing the analysis of that, which is like your earned value and your plan value and all that kind of the calculations that you've learned in our other chapter about control costs. But in any case, you are trying to really make sense of all the different data that is coming in and seeing what to do about it. Also, you're going to have to decide then, based on this information or based on your expert judgment, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to go one way or another? And not a very good shoulder shrug, but you're going to have to decide. You're going to say, okay, well, we are going to go this direction, and that's what we're going to go with, and maybe based on why, or maybe our rationale has allowed us to, make a decision. Maybe it's a collective decision. Maybe it is a decision that is just a few of us, or maybe just you as the project manager. But in any case, you got to make a decision. And a lot of times we will discuss and meet that, and maybe make presentations over it or conference calls. But those are your various different meetings. And I'm just going to put those in general together. And then those are your tools and techniques. And then lastly, we have our outputs. Well, all that information and how we've made sense of it, how we've looked at it, is going to be reported out, and what it means and why and how come and what has happened and what we're going to do about it. So those various different reports. And so that's about your work performance. And then also too, you might have some changes that you're going to request from this. And these changes can be, really against anything: scope, schedule, costs, quality, whatever the case might be. And then based on how information is then made sense of, or maybe even changed, we're going to make updates to our project management plan and to the documentation that we have. Each of those are going to be updated. And so that is a quick look and reminder of the crowd training's inputs, outputs, tools, and techniques of the monitor and control.